I bet that sports announcer probably sounds a lot better right now. I don't know how good his English is, but he's kind of got a disadvantage now because after being jacked around for years, along with a bunch of other people in his country, and having numerous elections interfered with by outside interlocutors that really had a very unappropriate and unhealthy attraction to the children of your country. Um, they decided to make that a racket, that make the alleged racket an actual tax policy in Texas. It's disgusting. They did it in the last election. They literally made the FIFA racket a constitutional amendment. They put it before the voters and everything. It was supposed to be a referendum. They left off the A because you're supposed to go chase the A down. Or you're supposed to be able to find all of those stocks that Shell dumped right around the time of Hurricane Harvey. Nobody wants to talk about. And nobody wants to talk about how all those stock dumps and all of those transfers of accounts connected to Class A shares for Shell may or may not have anything to do with that tax policy change that was put to the voters allegedly via referendum so that less than 12% of registered voters can issue a majority vote to approve an alleged constitutional amendment, making the FIFA racket policy in Texas. Don't worry, don't worry. I mean, you're going to at some point realize no matter what you thought you were doing and what your culture is about and who you may think you are, that these guys in Texas and their little rituals know better than everybody else in the world, including the American government, by the way. You don't understand. The American government is just a puppet for these guys in Texas that proxy in to DC from Austin. Used to be Houston. I know it's hard to keep track of, but it's not. Especially if you find somebody at the IRS that will do their job and will be honest with you. And I'm here to tell you right now, you have nothing to worry about. See, what's going to start happening is a lot of public pension funds are going to be liquidated. Okay? This is going to be a challenge, especially if you're one of those people that thought you were going to get to retire, and in order to retire, you were literally going to get a younger person to harvest in order to pay for your retirement. It's going to be a problem because one of the things that's happening right now is those younger people, including the foreign assets that were imports, are realizing, hey, these aren't my obligations. Hey, this wasn't my crime. Hey, I didn't do this. They did, and they think that they're going to get the good stuff that I should be able to get for myself right now for them, and that I'm supposed to double duty the fact that just because they were for a while the majority voting bloc, that they were allowed to be indulged in criminality? No, it doesn't work that way. So right now is the time to be preparing for pension fund liquidation. And unfortunately, because they weren't very honest about what was happening with Social Security and Medicare, which by the way are trusts, they're not health insurance plans, that there's going to be a lot of liquidation going on there. As a matter of fact, they've already started the hedging. Last report, if you are put on a ventilator after allegedly being at least at risk of COVID 19 and you die, there is a $39,000 payment, or at least a $39,000 credit to your account from Medicare. Where do you think Medicare is going to get the $39,000 per person a pop to actually pay these people? Who do you think is going to be paying? Who do you think is going to actually be paying into the Medicare and Social Security trusts that are being accessed and are being obligated to these payments for alleged medical treatment that even nurses and doctors in the field say is completely unnecessary? That people are being murdered via ventilator so that they can get a $39,000 per person kickback. Not sustainable, guys. This is not going to be able to persist. Now is the time to be preparing for liquidation of the pension systematology that supported that and the so-called trusts that have been violated and necessarily need to be removed from the equation. while we're focusing on how we're going to get to the sons of bitches that agreed to mass murder their own people for a $39,000 per person kickback. By the way, 39 is 3 times 13. You might want to keep that in mind because somebody hedged on that in April. But that's not what I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with my own employment, retirement system benefits. When I talked to the IRS when I filed my taxes this year, they told me that the employment retirement system for the city and county of San Francisco had given me a check for $1,458, or rather, they had assessed that I had $1,458 in retirement benefits that I had accrued. Now, even though I ended up leaving before I was legally past the probation period to qualify for union membership, this has been happening my whole life. They just don't want me in a union. No matter what I do, how good faith that is, they won't let me join a union. So I ended up having to cash out before I had to be obligated to the union. And I had $1,458 worth of retirement benefits. Apparently there was $291 withheld in taxes, but I never even heard about it till I called the IRS this year. See, I haven't been inside long enough to be able to file a tax return, get the information, and have an address that I can have materials sent to so that then I can follow up and get everything in order. In 2014, I was issued a check for $291 less than $1,458. Anybody know what 1458 means? If you work for the Department of Transportation, you do. You know what else? If you had any information about the first line of response that used to be known as the Megaport Initiative, you know what $1,458 is, and you know goddamn well why they won't give it to a woman who refuses to do drugs. April 2nd, 2020. Don't worry, I got what I need. And I'm very grateful for that, right? So when you finally get your shit together and stop prioritizing mass murderers, then I will have what I need, and hopefully I can work with you to get together what you need. But this isn't going to abide. I was able to live without my retirement benefits. A lot of other people weren't, right? It was very important that you acknowledge that I was supposed to have gotten my retirement benefits instead of being racketed in traffic for 3 years while you told me I was a pauper. So you got to steal my legal filings to create biological weapons with. But you didn't. So I have to model something that there's no model for me in regards to, and let you know ahead of time. Your retirement benefits and your pension system are about to be liquidated. You need to prepare. It's 2:43 p.m. on July 9th, 2020.